Hello London Go Center, my name is Mateusz Surma and I will teach you what to think about while playing moves in the opening. So, when we start to play Go, somebody can tell us that in the opening it's usually good to play on the third and fourth line. So, something like this, later maybe something here, and so on. So, on the third line, when we play on the third line, we focus more on territory, and when we play on the fourth line, we can focus more on having more power, maybe attack some groups and so on. Later, when the beginners learn that it's good to have a base. So 2-space jump for 1 stone, something like this, 2-space jump, that is good. And later when there are maybe 2 stones, it would be good to have a 3-space extension. This is like bigger base because of more stones. So later, the next thing to learn is that it's usually good to have some stones on the third line and some stones on the fourth line to have some balance. So from one color, I will just remove these stones. From one color, maybe it would be good to have some stone here and later some stone maybe like this and maybe next stone again like this on the third line to keep this balance so that we don't focus only on territory or only on attack. And then we follow Fuseki after Fuseki. We start to learn Fuseki after Fuseki. And yeah, for new Go players, these are very nice rules to follow. But when we play like this already for some time and want to be stronger, I would recommend to change the thinking. In some situations, for example, it might be better to play on the 5th line or maybe even higher. Depends on the situation. And sometimes it might be more interesting to play on the 2nd line. Also depends on the situation, on the surrounding stones, on this what's going on around. And sometimes it might be more interesting to play wider. For example, when there is like 1 stone, maybe it's more interesting to play a 4-space jump. Sometimes might be also good. And sometimes it might be better to play 1-space jump. Also depends on the situation. Later, we don't need to add any stones sometimes to keep balance because we are already balanced. Even though we don't have these stones on the 3rd, 4th line, sometimes we are anyway balanced. And sometimes we don't need to play Fuseki. Sometimes it's better to find some other situation which is not Fuseki, which is not even, but if we look globally, it might be more interesting for us. So honestly, in my opinion, opening is usually the least important part of a Go match. Of course, it's possible to get an advantage, but if we compare the advantage which we can get in the opening to the advantage which we can get in the any further part of the game, we can actually notice that the opening is not that important anymore. So in many games, I would recommend to play opening fast so that we don't lose too much time. And later, this time which we save on the tournament, we can use when we'll have some complicated situation, when we'll have some fight, some difficult stuff, and not just some beginning of the game. But maybe you can ask me like why some of the stronger Go players spend a lot of time in the opening. In my opinion, is to get focused, to have better concentration, to be concentrated better, like on the game, on this what's going on there or will be going on. But sometimes, also while playing some moves in the opening, it's good to have in mind what kind of continuations we can have afterwards. So, opening is usually a preparation for the future. Before playing some moves in the opening, we can ask ourselves, can we only get a territory? Or can we strengthen our groups too? Or maybe we can get some nice exchanges to get an easier way to escape with another group. Or maybe to attack some of the opponent's groups. So in the opening, even though we cannot get a big advantage, we can start gaining some control over the game. And in Go, in the strategy planning, there is a very important rule. Don't play close to the strong groups. And I would recommend to follow that rule in the opening as well. So let's start. Let's start with a simple situation, maybe something like this. Then when white plays here, black can jump, and then white can place a 3-space extension. This looks absolutely normal. Black gets some territory, white gets also some kind of a base, maybe territory too. And this is, let's say, a common variation. But we can change this variation a little bit. So, for example, when we have this kind of situation, Now, a question, would it be also interesting for white, when it's white's turn, to play a free space extension from these two stones? So that where it would be this extension, like this, or maybe like this? Something doesn't work, right? Because now if we compare these two stones to the other situation, so then we can think, but actually, wait, from two stones it would be good to have free space extension, but from one stone it would be good to have two space extension. But how is possible to do this? It's not possible to do this. Doesn't matter where we play, something will not work that well as it should work. So in this situation, for example, here would be only two space extension. And normally in this rule, don't play close to the strong groups. We can actually try to apply it to this situation. Which groups are strong? Maybe nothing is really very strong there, but when we play it, it will look at least over-concentrated. So then when we add this kind of move, it looks like we played something close to the strong group. So maybe instead of playing there, it would be more interesting to play something else. Maybe just playing something like this. And after this move, what happens? We just make our wall, these two stones, we give to these stones some help. So we make this wall a little bit stronger. So now, when we have already this wall a little bit stronger, we can also assume that this move is an extension from this wall. So in this situation, when we have this extension from the wall, and here there is like already bigger space, we can think that maybe in the future, it will be possible to get here some nice territory, right? And it's possible to make this territory bigger. If we play a move just like this, then we will have this territory in this top. There will be some points, maybe 10, 15, something like that. But it will be quite hard to get more territory. And when we play a little bit further on the start, it's possible that black will invade. It's possible that black will play there and will destroy, so that we will have nothing there. But it's also possible to think that maybe in the future, in case black doesn't play there, we can have something like this. And suddenly we can have there much more. Or maybe even one line further, and we can have even more. And maybe actually we can also use this stone, which is here, to focus on the other side. So that maybe in the future we'll think, but actually I would like to go more on the right. So maybe it will be possible to play something like this. So now we play this attachment and we block black from going further on the right. And like this, white will be able to block there. So in case in the future we want to get also some territory here, it might be also some help, or maybe even attack of some groups. Like this stone, which is now in this, it looks like it's somewhere in the center, can also help us in any fight, basically, because there is this stone. If it was not there, it would not help us. It is there in the center, it can help us. Doesn't matter from what direction groups would go, it can help in any kind of attack. Doesn't matter if our group is weak or opponent's group is weak. So in this situation, I would recommend to think if we need to do some shape which is maybe a little bit over-concentrated, maybe it's good to check, like think about like possibility to play a little bit further without playing this over-concentrated shape. And actually, we can also think like a little bit in the different situation. Like for example, when we will have a situation like this. Let's say there is this shape in this top right corner, and then white can think maybe about playing two space extension, this one. But what happens afterwards? Later, black maybe can kick us. And then white what will do? White will extend. Okay, so then black will play like this. And suddenly, we don't have two space extension from one stone. We have two space extension from two stones. So it looks a bit over-concentrated, right? So maybe it's not that comfortable for white anymore. And for black, this looks like a secured group, right? It's quite safe. There are basically not much agi which white could use, not possible for white to survive later in this black's area. So we can actually just assume that white has over-concentrated shape. And actually, this is why, in my opinion, white usually doesn't go like this. This is not a popular move. So normally white, instead of playing there, would maybe think about some other possibilities, maybe some other moves. Yeah, maybe just like this. And after getting this kind of wall, maybe it's already possible to play further, maybe like this, free space jump, or maybe four space jump, because white gets some kind of a wall, so maybe it's possible to use it in a little bit better way. But when we have already a stone in this spot, later it might be not that easy for white to use this kind of continuation, because then it would be just over concentrated. What is this stone doing there, right, at m17? It's just too close to this white's wall, so white doesn't use his potential effectively. It's possible to use it more effectively if putting the stone at m17 a little bit further. But of course we cannot move our stones in Go, we just place them. So on the start I would recommend not to place this stone at m17, because we don't have a nice continuation like this. Yeah, so then we can also think about maybe some other moves. Like here we have some situation, another one. Yeah, and it looks like something is going on, maybe a little bit crazy, right? Because here on the left, black has this shape, but like these three stones, but normally they don't have a good extension, right? So there is some problem for black. These three stones look quite heavy. So like when these stones look already quite heavy, it doesn't look like it's comfortable for black to continue in that direction. And actually, let's say it's white's turn. In the situation, it's white's turn. So here in the top right corner, we had some Joseki, right? It's quite popular, simple Joseki. So white played here and black made this exchange, white connected, black played this one space jump. And then how it would be good to continue a Joseki. Normally, of course, many people would say, maybe free space jump. But then we can think, maybe it's good to have balance, right? Because here we have another stone on the third line. So to have this balance, maybe it would be more interesting to play on the fourth line. So now this stone, this at f17 and this at k16, like they create some balance for white. So maybe it's possible to have there a little bit more territory on the top. But if looking more on this situation, maybe it's possible not to follow a Joseki. This is a Joseki, okay, but maybe we can play something better. So if we look a little bit wider on the situation, we can also notice that these three black stones on the left are quite weak. So as they are quite weak, maybe we can attack them. So when we attack some groups, normally we can get some profit from it. Like we will get at least some kind of wall, maybe some extra stones somewhere in the center, so we can get something. And our idea to make this situation good for us is to change this something into some profit. So in this situation, white can attack maybe these three stones while playing something like this. This is like one of the ways. So later black can think maybe about trying to escape towards the center. Maybe black can think about trying to create there some base like this. Maybe black can play something on the second line to anyway try to create there some base on the left side. We don't know where black will play. But if we get this stone at this g14, later for white, it might be possible at some moment to think, but actually, why do I need to play at k16? Let's say black will play something like this. Why playing like this for white? Because now it looks like maybe it's a little bit too small, no? So maybe it's possible for white to think, actually I can play on the sixth line. And now I can get much more. So why not? Why not? In case white gets here more territory, it's actually not only white's territory what white gets. White also takes away from black a possibility to create some territory in the center. Because look, if we have a stone like this, white will get here this top. Okay, but black might have some stones in this line somewhere here, and then for black after some time it might be also possible to get some territory in the center. But when we place our stones further like this and like this, then we can already think, but actually for black it will not be possible to get here territory, because black would need to create some stones on this line, and then it could be maybe possible to have this territory a little bit lower, but black already doesn't have that much space to create this territory. So like this, white does actually two things. White gets own territory bigger, and white creates also less possibility for opponent to have there some territory. So two things at one time. So because of this, sometimes it's important to play a little bit wider and not playing so over concentrated, because like this, first thing we get small territory, and later opponent might be also able to get something from this empty space which we didn't cover with our stones. So this is like another idea. Also, maybe instead of this move at k14, a little bit more interesting could be just trying to attack a little bit more, because in case black escapes and later we get some other stones, then later black still wants to escape somehow, we can maybe get even more. So in some cases it would be maybe even a little bit more interesting for white to continue this attack. So like this, white can get here even more, and actually white, while getting, for example, a stone like this, white also still protects some territory on the left side. So this is actually a way of attacking. So when we have some weak groups from opponent, many times it's good to attack and try to get some profit in a place where we didn't put a stone, which could be maybe Joseki, but intentionally we don't play Joseki, so that later maybe we can try to get a little bit more. Normally in this kind of Joseki, which was here on the start, like this, white plays this extra move because white wants to have a base. White wants to strengthen these three stones. White doesn't want to have them heavy, how it was here on the left side. Like here for black, it would be quite nice to play there, because when black didn't play this extension and white played here at this d10, then black doesn't have this nice base and white can attack. So use it. So like now I would recommend for white really to use this possibility to attack these black stones, because okay, black didn't play there, black played somewhere else. So if we want to win this game, we should use opponent's mistakes. Who will make more mistakes, he will lose this game. So if opponent played mistake, then we should use it. So here I would recommend to attack this group and try to get more here on the top. Later, we can also get maybe some other positions. Let's say we get a position like this. So what's going on? Here we get some normal, let's say Hoshi, some Ogeima from this Hoshi, so that white tries to get some territory in this top left corner. Here in the top right corner we get a Joseki. Okay, Joseki looks nice, so let's follow. So let's say white connects, later black plays here and white plays like this. So it looks like everything is okay, no? Because what's going on? White has here a free space extension from two stones, so it looks okay. Later there is like balance between this stone on the fourth line and stone on the third line, so it's also good. Later when we are looking, this is actually one stone, a single stone. So it's good to have a two space extension from another stone, right? And here we have also two space extension from another stone. So it should look like, theoretically, maybe as a perfect shape for white. But again, if we think a little bit more about the situation, what happens? Normally, every stone which we put on the board, it should give us, let's say, some territory, or like chance so that opponent will not get their territory. So each stone should like have something connected with territory at least, and also something with power, with strength, with influence, with some attacking potential. This is like another part of why playing stone in some place. So if we are looking on territory, it might look okay, right? Because white gets here this territory on the top, okay, looks everything fine. But if we are looking on power, then actually, did white need their power? Was it necessary to strengthen these stones? Because actually, if we are looking on this shape, in this corner, this top left corner, white is quite secured. This group is not very strong, but it's alive. White doesn't need to worry about it. It's also like two stones for white to escape to, in case there would be some problem. The next profit of this move at g17, which was there already for white earlier, it might be that for black, it might be very difficult to create a base in this space. In this area, might be not that easy for black to create any base, because how? In case black will play something like this, then black plays quite close to opponent stones. In case white would strengthen these stones, then it means black played actually close to the strong group. In case black would attack them, these three white stones, then it's good. But now it's white's turn, so white will continue this, what's going on the top. So maybe white will try to, maybe white will try to play something like this, and then actually it turns out that black played quite close to the strong group from opponent. Okay, then maybe black can try to make there some base. So yeah, black will be happy because I have a 2-space extension, but it's not that important. For white, all the time it might be possible to maybe enclose black in that area. For example, while playing something like this, black answers and white plays here. Already black like has this base, black will be there alive, but white gets a wall. So was it really that interesting for black? Might be not necessarily that good. And actually for white, it might be still interesting just to ignore it, maybe play somewhere else, because what can black do there? Not much. So maybe it's also fine for white. In case black will play something higher, maybe like this, it might be all the time not that easy for black to create nice base. So even if white still plays this way just to escape towards the center, white makes own group a little bit stronger, so this stone from black starts to be a little bit weaker, and later maybe white will be able to attack this stone. So even though this white's extension, this G17, was not the optimal extension, because the optimal extension would be probably anyway this like K17 or K16, but when the stone was already there, then I would recommend to think in a little bit different way. Okay, there is this stone, so while just adding this extra stone to protect this territory might be too small, because when we already have this power, it might be also possible to play in a little bit different way so that we can get more. So for example, white can start with having this stone here. So then for black, it starts to be even more difficult to invade in this area, because white already has this one more stone. White has a wall which is basically stronger because of this one extra stone. And also, of course, this stone in the future can also help if we want to expand on the right side. But even if thinking just about the top, when black will add some move there, maybe white can think, okay, but I already have a stone here, so maybe I can attack this stone somehow. So maybe it will be possible for white to play something like this, already to think about attack. Maybe it's possible for white to think even in a little bit different area, so maybe it's possible for white to play even something from the top and really try to attack very hard, so that in case black cannot have a nice situation to make their like nice base, then maybe white can really get some profit from attack. So let's say black will try to make their base, white will anyway try to destroy it, and then black will think, I need to escape with these stones. So later black will play something like this, and white will just follow. Suddenly, white doesn't have this like as much territory as it was there, but white gets here a wall already. Like when black will escape, white will also strengthen their corner. So if black plays like this, white can think, maybe I will just defend. Black all the time has a weak group, but already black doesn't have a possibility to enter corner. Like there is much less weaknesses for white there, and all the time black has a weak group. So all the time we just go in the same way, just attacking, and we are getting profit from this attack. So that here white just protected all this corner. Later, in case black will continue playing something more with this group to maybe escape and get some nice profit, white can just continue playing here. So this corner will start to be bigger. All the time, maybe white will be able to get some extra stones in the center, so that white will be stronger in the center. White will have there this influence, this wall, these stones which can help for any future attack. So even though white didn't have all this territory like this, how he could have had, white didn't play a stone which could be very inefficient, so that when white attacks group, normally it's less comfortable for opponent, because white will get many forcing moves through this attack, and like this, if we compare it, I would really recommend to play this kind of way. So on the start, we just feel like this move doesn't give us that much. This move gives us power, but it's not that necessary because white is already strengthened here. So then maybe it's more interesting to play in a little bit different way. For example, something like this. If we change the situation a little bit, and if we put here black stones, so for example, like in this part would be black stones, then the situation is a little bit different, because now what can white do? White should just make a base so that these white stones will not be under a big pressure. So in this case, it would be quite big for white to add there this stone. to make sure, okay, these three stones are not just heavy, they are not only stones to attack, but white can have them safe. And like this, in case white didn't answer here, white played somewhere else, and black plays here, and now black attacks white. And if we compare the situation to the previous one, like this, when black plays here and white plays something like this, in this situation when black starts to play this kind of stuff, this who attacks whom is a little bit different, right? Now white attacks black, not black attacks white. So this is the difference, who attacks whom. So because of this, I would recommend to play in a little bit different way in this kind of situations. Yeah, we can also have, for example, this kind of shape. This is some, like it used to be some kind of popular Joseki maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And then after like these moves, when it was white's turn, usually white added some move, maybe in this position, maybe in this position, somewhere to like create maybe nice shape. In this situation, in case white doesn't play anything there and white ignores it, black will be able to play inside, and now suddenly this group starts to be without a base and this stone starts to be without a base, so black will be attacking white, not white black. So for white it's actually not that small to answer there, so I would recommend to play there this stone in this case. So maybe something like this is good because now white is stronger there, so it's not that easy for black to attack white, and also white builds some territory by the way. So yeah, like this, it might be interesting to add this stone. But if we go to a little bit different situation, let's say like this, so that when white has here some kind of a wall, then is it really big to add there a move just like this? In my opinion, it might be actually quite small, because white already had this power. White was already strong with this group here on the left. This was, let's say, a wall. So playing a move in this spot, or maybe playing a move in this spot, it's actually not as important as it was earlier. But if we actually think between even this and this move, when we think a little bit more about where exactly to play, maybe it might turn out that this K16, this move, is a little bit more interesting for white. Yes, this shape here on the right side might be a little bit more over concentrated than how it could be, but this move is a little bit further from this wall, so that now when we are thinking in which spot to play, when we really want to play there a move, I would recommend to like think about what is stronger and play further from the stronger group if we already want to play there. So which group is stronger, this one or this one? In my opinion, this on the left. So if we think about where to play exactly in this area, I would recommend to play further from the strong group, because when opponent will start to enter this area, normally how do we attack? Normally, to attack some stones of opponent, we just make him play close to the wall. So this wall is used very efficiently. So he will play close to the strong group. In other words, it will be our strong group. So it's also good because we attack opponent's stones. And yeah, this is normally a way to think when we have some empty space and we are wondering where to play exactly. We want to play somewhere in the middle, let's say, so it will be both extension from both groups. So it will be an extension from both groups, but we are wondering which one will be maybe a little bit better. Then I would recommend to play slightly closer to this weaker group or further from the stronger group. Yeah, but if we want to play a little bit more hardcore, we can also think maybe sometimes still, maybe we can try to make it very big. Maybe while playing something like this, or maybe while playing something like this, try to get a little bit bigger wall, and later maybe instead of adding a stone in this spot, maybe it will turn out that we don't need to have there a stone. Maybe it will be possible for white to get there this wall a little bit bigger, and later it might be possible to play maybe something this way, and anyway get there very big territory on the top. Yes, of course it's a risk that maybe black will enter that area, that later white will not have their territory. Normally it depends of whom will attack whom. So in case black enters this shape and later black will be able to attack white somewhere, then it might, like we might think, okay, maybe it's good to answer. But maybe in case we think that actually we will be attacking black there, and like let's say we think that it might be quite severe, this attack, and that okay, even if black will destroy this territory, we can still get a very nice shape, like very strong wall, and maybe we can think that it will be still possible to use it in the future. Then it might be also more interesting to just ignore it or play, for example, this way to get a little bit stronger shape, so later this attack might be a little bit more powerful on these black potential stones which could appear here on the top. So this is like another possibility of using this kind of shape. Yeah, and here actually there also used to be some opening some time ago for white, even in this shape, when there was only a single stone from the same color like this in the corner. Later, after playing this Joseki for white, it was also possible to see in some professional games this kind of move, that white now played here, black answered, okay, and now white, instead of playing this Joseki, maybe white could decide about playing anyway this kind of move. Why? Because white protects the corner, so white gets anyway a stronger shape. It's not a stone just like how it would be in this situation. Now white plays like closer to the black stone, so white doesn't have this security there. White doesn't have this extra stone, so this white stone is not that secured. And like this, in case black would just play something in the middle, black could have, let's say, two white groups to attack. So black creates problems for white. But in case in this position would be white stone, now in case black would play inside, actually white will attack black, because white is here already secured, so white doesn't need to worry at all about this stone. So now there is a fight only between this group and this stone, and white plays first. So it's not so bad for white. Like in case white plays first, white can of course continue while playing, for example, this two-space jump towards the center. If white wants to play like very hard style, white can also try to play something from the top and later try to surround black. In case black would play something like this, maybe it would be possible. Yeah, in case white thinks that it's possible, maybe it's possible to play like this, or maybe even one line further to make it a little bit safer, so it will be easier to connect. In case black plays here, white can already play a move like this. Yeah, for example, so white can think about another possibilities, but anyway, no matter what we will play there, white will start to have this first move in this kind of fight between this white free stones and this one black stone. So for black, no base, and white starts this fight. So I think it should be quite comfortable fight for white anyway. Here black might also think about maybe playing something like this, but for white it doesn't change much. White can just cut and still we have a similar situation. Okay, in case black will play this two-space jump, it's actually not a normal two-space jump. It's not like very safe base, because white at any point can, for example, just jump here and suddenly black doesn't have this base. So it's not like that awesome situation for black that black suddenly made a base, because it's not really a base. Like thanks to this or because of this stone at N18, this white stone, now it's possible just to destroy it. So in case black would just enter the center somehow, white can just continue attacking this group. So I think white should be quite satisfied. And if we are looking on territory, again, here, even though white will not have points, white will strengthen own group while attacking black. About this other corner, I think anyway it will be wise because of black's weak group. So because of this having weak group from black, it will be like very difficult for black to create another group in the corner. Simply black will not have time. And also, even after having this move at N18, later in the future, maybe in endgame, white might think even about playing this P18, and there is quite big endgame in center for white. So it's also quite actually many points for white to get there. So overall, this territory which black could potentially destroy here is not that big. And if we think about playing for white This kind of move will leave more open Sansan, so that maybe in the future black would be more interested to play there and destroy the Sansan a little bit more. So overall it might turn out that actually white lose points while playing a normal Joseki like this. Okay, yeah, let's say we will have some different situation now. So here we got also quite simple shape. Yeah, normal Joseki in the left corner, normal Joseki in the right corner, and now we are thinking, is it big to play this A move for white? So yeah, in case white plays here, is it a big move or not big move? So also we could think on the start, yeah, it's so nice move because white connects everything, because there is like 2 space extensions between each stone of white, also because there is a balance kept, so it might look very interesting for white. Also white takes there some territory, yeah, nice base and so on. But if we think deeper about the situation, then we can also notice that actually on the left these 2 stones are already quite safe. These stones have a base. This is a base already from these stones. So these stones like don't have that big pressure to really keep them connected very much with another stones. And if we are looking on this stone, maybe it will be more interesting to think about something else. Maybe instead of just playing here this move at A and getting there this like territory safe and like everything connected, maybe it would be a little bit more interesting for white to play this way. So that white will create anyway group which is not so weak. Let's say we follow some of the Josekis. So we go in this direction. Let's say black will protect the corner, and let's say white will play like this. So again, even though white didn't add there this move, white starts to have a little bit stronger shape. So that in case black will enter somewhere there to try to destroy it, like if black enters like this, all the time white has this even emergency exit to play here on the second line to like white will have this possibility at some point to connect everything, but it's not necessary to play there now. White can all the time fight, and later this is just in the future that white might be able to play there at some point. So it means that actually it will be difficult for black to attack white, and white attacks black. So when white attacks black, I think it's also quite interesting for white to play this way. In case black would play even deeper, we get a little bit similar situation. Just now white can play even some capping moves so that it's possible to attack a little bit more severely, but even if white plays a simple move like this just to jump there, all the time this black's move is attacked. Not directly, a little bit indirectly, because white plays a little bit further from the stone, but all the time this stone at L17 is attacked by white. And white doesn't need to worry about this group. This group already has a way to escape in the center, so white is much faster than black in this kind of race between this stone and these stones. Also, white might have a possibility to create their 2 eyes basically on the top. Anyway, white 1 eye, it's actually sure. So if black would like at some point of this fight destroy like these 2 eyes, it's anyway not possible to destroy 2 eyes, maximum 1 eye, because white is able to make there this other one. So white doesn't need to worry that much about on group, so maybe it will be possible for white to create there more points. And also like this, white doesn't only protect himself, but white also destroys some part of the corner. In case white plays like this, later in the future black can just block the corner, so black will have here like maybe 15 points in the corner. And in case white starts with this move, black will have there much less. And also white might have some extra points here on the first line, so it's also some profit for white. And later about this move, maybe sooner anyway, white will get there some territory, because if for black it's not interesting to invade and just escape with this own group while being attacked all the time by white, might be not so comfortable. So maybe sooner or later anyway it will be white's territory. But already white destroyed black's corner, so white got quite a big profit there. Yeah, and here when we have a situation like this, yeah, this is a little bit different situation. Now when white thinks about like where to play, black is everywhere around, right? White is not that secured. So in this situation, it might be more interesting for white to add this move. So to play, for example, something like this or like this, to keep these stones connected. Because in case white would try to play something to make it a little bit bigger, and let's say white will just jump, what black is going to do? Black is just going to invade inside, because black will be attacking white. white will have their two groups without a base, which need to escape somehow. So let's say even if black will play like random move there on the top, for example, something like this, what happens? White escapes and black plays here as well. And now white has two weak groups. Black is secured on the left, black is secured on the right, so black has only one group. So white will not have their territory, and all the time white will be attacked by black. So black will be getting this profit from this attacking. Black will be getting own group stronger. Maybe even it will be possible to kill one of these two groups, because escape with two groups is actually not that easy. So like this, it starts to be already quite risky for white to play this way, because white doesn't only lose all territory, which could be also in some other variations, but now also black attacks white and not white attacks black. Okay, thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.